Hello builders, and welcome to another ESO Homes. Okay, this is for a housing competition in one of the guilds I'm in on the North American PlayStation server. And we're in Earth Tier Cabin. So if you've ever been here before, you'll know that it's a central support pillar and then a big ass open cave here. We got to pick our own themes. So the theme I did was Dark Arts in the Wilderness. Basically it's a story of a small mining encampment set out in the forest. A bit too far. So let's get started. I'm going to do the basic tour, just walk around first. And then I'll start talking to you about stuff and tips and how I did stuff afterwards. As usual, I'll try and keep it as brief as possible, but I don't promise anything. Mainly because you can tour the place in 5 minutes. But that won't tell you how anything was done. So because it's a miner's cabin, realistically everything should be handmade, old, shabby. You're always something. I mean, cabin in the woods. That's a working home. You're not going to find Alan or Elf, he says, with a high off bunk bed right behind him. You know what I mean? None of the fancy. I mean, everything has to be weathered and, you know, handmade. My first time playing with pathing, it worked okay. If you're not careful, and it's going to take a lot of time to get it right, there'll be certain times when the animals just slide sideways. So that can be a bit odd. Let's just zoom out so you can see the outside. And I really wanted to emphasize the calm here. I mean, it's the sort of place where if you're not working, you could just sit outside and nothing happens. A whole bunch of countryside nothingness. Let's just go through the mine. I did run out of items. There should have been some working tools and like a table of lanterns at the entrance. Just didn't have the space for it. And so that, you know, they're doing their digging thing. They've been here for quite a long time, following a seam, and it came to a wall. And they're thinking, oh, you know, maybe a ruin, maybe a old tomb. And the shit hit the fan, because they dug through to blackreach. Sucks to be them. So we'll go the outside. Can't really see, but they're not accurate play. There's flower window boxes. Because it's blackreach, everything tends to be non-existent or dry, dead looking. Apart from some of the weird ferns down there. Let's carry on. Only bad thing is where they broke through the wall, I do tend to get stuck on the rocks when I'm in first person. In case you're wondering why the theme of my house was dark arts in the wilderness, now you can't make, oh my god, I've got the word, the soul driven. You can't make them walk. I can understand it with the test dummies, but these guys are just as animated as the NPCs. So I don't know why they didn't go with that option. Anyway, so there's miners, or what's left of them, and a few other unlucky guards who shouldn't be glowing. There you go. Top tip, lift them up off the floor and they stop glowing when you look at them. Direct damage will still get them, but so we don't throw a spell. Let's just show you. Yep. Yeah, it's not going so well for her. But there you go. My Dark Elf Vampire is experimenting on them. The rest of the area, the main house is through here, which is why there's no doors to that area. So this is just a workshop area. So it saves me having to do all the extra furniture items and the beds and kitchens and living space. Then it really would have been hard with a 700 cap. And then just dark magic enchanting sheet. If you're careful with the portal, you can get it so it still works, as long as this centre island is placed on a flat surface. Clipping in doesn't matter.
Have you heard? Leranth and Remora wore white to Molon Grunder's blood sacrifice. Of course, a scandal. I've been talking about that for centuries. I'm quite certain. Farewell for now, my friend. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Okay, so that is the actual tour. Now, we start on the how to do stuff part. So the cave. I was in party chat in my main guild. We tend to have one running, and I was cussing this cave out for like 4 days straight. I have never had to work so hard in the build as to get this place to look right. Even though it's not perfect, but with the limit count and what I had. The main thing, if you want to do a cave and you know it's going to be not the best work, put a wall here or some way of blocking it off so people can't see too much, because all of this cave is built that it works from this angle. If people go down, then you start being able to see the gaps and the cracks and like holes in the scenery. And as you go up in height, if you move things backwards, it means you can put them higher up, and then you don't have to cover up that space. Also, if you're doing a cave, do the walls first. If you're not sure what this place looks like that tree, from the front, it just looks like it's on the mountain. So like I always do, I'm just going to pour some stuff out so you can see what it normally looks like. So this whole place is one big open room. Oh, something else to show you, which I would have done if I'd known at the time. Trying to do a huge cave is okay, but I couldn't go all the way up to the ceiling. But excuse me, by having this building in front, it meant I didn't have to go all the way up. So that saved. I mean, it didn't save a lot of rocks, but remember the rocks I did have, I didn't have to have the cave small. I was able to make the cave a lot bigger. And these buildings don't take up much to make. Let me just put all the black rocks out and then I'll show you. So literally just the staircases. And then more stairs for the roof. Have them. You can't really see the sloping roofs from the ground, so you want to have the angle a lot steeper than normal. If I'd just done the walls along and then same on the other side, leading downwards here, and I could have had a cave. With the angle that it's built at, from down there, the angle of viewing comes up. In fact, I really didn't need to have any black behind it, but I could have done it 1 story lower and just built from the ceiling down, and it would have looked like a much bigger cave. What else? Okay, now you're starting to see how this place is just one big ass cave. Almost done, and then we'll pull the house apart. Again, just the stairs for the roof, aluminium monument sunk in to make the attic room.
Back. You were there to stop Alexandra Canal.
And then from blackreach the Orel buildings. Sorry, that was out of my voice. So that's it. Try and, whenever you're doing a house, try and use existing structures to save some of the building materials. Again, mirrors for windows. If you want to know more about buildings, I've got 2 videos that are focused just on fake houses. One is on the whole city, at the Old Miri Grotto, and it shows how to place things in courtyards, as well as some of the buildings and how they're built up in height. And then the one at Daggerfall shows you how to do, if you want to be able to see into the houses instead of just fake fronts. I've given you a few tricks on windows, glass, how to build dioramas, how to fake out stuff on there. So now I'm just going to put all this stuff back. Okay, I just don't want to leave this area and then find out that I haven't put... There you go. Okay, so everything's done. Only other thing to show you is just the house. If you've seen my other video, it's really simple. A really quick version. Oh, first of all, if you can't make something look good, hide that shit. So this angled ash tree is hiding the wall that I couldn't get rid of because it would have covered these if I'd lowered it. I liked having windows. I really would have liked to have had something that you could actually stand here and look out the window at, like an actual flower garden or a vegetable patch, but just the item count. I ran out of time. The cave took 70% of the build time just for that. So this is earthwork platform, wooden large for the roof, that for the side, and because I had that flatter than 45 degrees, it meant I had to have this roof a lot lower. So it's just slide that, and then so if you look, the roof comes down way lower. If I'd done it so the roof is high on here and sloped down towards this wall, I could have then used that as an outside shed for chickens or pigs or whatever. What else? Same as normal, common counter island doesn't have graphics on the inside, it does on the out. So you can use that to build existing windows. That features heavily in my Daggerfall build. Okay, windows don't exist in the game, so it's just 3 of the narrow walls. Okay, not that. 3 narrow walls, and then the underneath is 1 long wall. On the inside, just 2 of the orc platforms on the inside, just because I wanted it to have a wooden feel, slightly more natural and handmade, rather than just this. Also, if you're doing this from the outside and people might see it, you can always come and from the outside, you can always just get these, use the wall to line them up. So you see they were all cockeyed. And that should means that it looks neater from the inside. The inside you couldn't really tell, but if I'd done a courtyard out here, or a basketball court, or a flower garden, or whatever, then people would have been around that side. Luckily there was no real reason for people to do it. If you really want to hide that shit, sink a tree in the ground. Not all the way in. This tree's not so good because it's so tall, it's thin all the way up. Most trees, they get bushier at the top, so like that one, you sink it down and it just covers up a lot of stuff. Okay, so apart from that, oh, if you ever have stuff you can't hide, like that pillar, should have been some incense burners to make it look like there was smoke, but that chimney isn't linked up to this fireplace. You can't tell because from the outside you have to keep running around. Let's pull that out. But it's actually behind the wall. When I built it I didn't want that, so I wanted to hide it, and it didn't occur to me I could have just put this stupid fireplace there like an idiot. Gone. So instead I just did like a square chimney on the inside, and I've seen a lot nicer chimneys. That was rough. I was so pressed for time. This was, like I said, the damn hardest build, so you can't really tell that it's not the right one. Oh, and then the root cellar, again, it's on my other video. Common counter and just 2 walls, angled. Last tip to show you, dropping things, rocks. I had to hide, because it's out in the country, I had to hide the fact that I'm in a ruined city. Really didn't want all that stuff showing up. Nothing says wilderness like a whole bunch of buildings. So, when you chop these down, try to use watery plants coming away from the rock. Don't just stick them on the rock. Looks odd. So have them partly on the rock and partly in the water, and it blurs the edge. Also, use big groups of plants. And not singles, because you'll eat up into your limit too quickly. But just pulling this area into smaller. If I tried to do this around the edge, it would have been too big. So pull the area into a small space, and it means that whatever amount of stuff you use can fill it up better. You can see that trio building through the trees there. So. There you go. And then because there's too much rock showing, it looks bare. So again, I'll just sink it down a little bit. I think that's about it. I'm really trying to keep this quiet, simple. If you're not sure how many rocks I added, how many plants, it's not actually that many. I mean, people weren't supposed to swim out because the area would be too exposed. I just wanted to make it so that from the shore you wouldn't see. I mean, if you run around the back of this place, which the judges did on the competition, then yeah, you can go behind the scenes and you can see everything, and it looks horrible. But yeah, so I mean, again, I could have put a wall along here, I could have put cover of those rocks, I could have put some fallen trees like that log one. Anything that stops people being able to go where you don't want. Like I had to hide that wall, so I used trees and a hedge, I think, on the side. There is a lot more hunting camp things from Solitude now, but where you got racks, the same as I do with bookcases, just add a couple of bits so that this rack doesn't look the same as this rack, and this rack and that rack are the same, but when you put them down, just make sure that you spin one of them 180 degrees so it looks different. And again, I've just added one fish, and then that with the spin just means that they don't look identical. I mean, yes, they're very similar, but like I said, having rows of identical things next to each other is just the worst, because it breaks the immersion. Last trick: if you're building a house, always try to put something slightly in front of it. And I didn't use a huge amount of vines, mainly because I don't have a huge amount of vines. Same thing for giant fake walls, like that wall there, this wall here. I mean, as we were touring, you didn't really notice the rock walls too much. But if I do this, oh, that one's a bit too buried in, but you know what? It didn't matter. No one could tell. There you go. So now if you look, without the vines, the house is too bare. There's just not enough going on, and it really does contribute to it looking fake. Also, you can see all the little detailings a lot more. So just things in front, you know, little bits, just to soften the look. Right, that's everything back. So I think that's it. I hope that helps. Oh, I tell you what, bonus. For my other guild, I had to do a 30 slot house. We had to use one of the 3 inns that you get free at the start of the game, and they haven't judged that yet. There was 36 entries in this competition. I placed second, so I was thrilled with that. I mean, there was so many really good entries. So fingers crossed. Ooh, which one was it? Not that one. Okay, I don't know how to edit, so if this is the wrong in, then you get to look at 2 loading screens. Trying to think of anything else I could tell you about the house that was hard. Oh, the giant mushrooms, the blackreach used, they're all from the Halloween event. They drop like crazy, especially if you're farming it on multiple tunes. They don't glow, so you want to use a lot of the plants which come under the lighting category and that they're white. You put those just inside the head of the mushroom, or on the floor at the foot of the mushroom, or even hit the light hits. Good on there, right? That was lucky. Yeah, so just to give the blackreach that blue lighting effect. So this is my 30 slot house. I'll just do a so hard. Trying to get everything to fit. Yeah. Like the. So I've got to move that slightly in and then sideways, so you can see the side panel, you can see it all the way down. That's the sort of thing you have to watch out for. Getting the steps where it went up to the extra level. This isn't perfect, but there's a couple of reasons. If you just do a basic 30 slot house, unless you have banners or something, or a chandelier, which is a little bit too big for this space, then the top's really empty. So it's important to try and get some height. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, okay, I've got one slot left. I put this was longer, and I didn't want people falling off the platform. But it kind of closes it in a bit too much. It's too much height. There you go. Contradicting myself, but yeah. So I wanted some height. Also, you don't want anything that's going to chop the room in half because it would be really claustrophobic. So this bookcase, and it's see-through, so it doesn't really block the room, and it's accessible from both sides. This is Crown. They're really 11 bookcases, but not this one because they know it looks awesome. It's the only backless bookcase which is filled and wide. There's a version which is filled and empty. And then on the ones with backs, there's like 4 different kinds. So I guess they know how to try and nudge you into buying something. Other than that, under space cabinets, and you have to watch. I built this platform as close as I could, where it would still let me place them, so that I could have a decent sized platform here. I didn't even need this raised platform, but if you have the bed on the floor, this space is really weird, and trying to get these into... Let's try and show you. Right, these walls, it's difficult to get anything that's going to fit because of the space and the angles, and the windows come down to the floor, so that limits where you can put things. Which is why I had the undercovered. I thought that worked better for this space. If you don't want that, then what you can do is between the windows do sunk-in cabinets. Again, that platform, the backing platform, straight. I mean, it's hard. This made me sweat, trying to get the maximum amount of appearance of stuff with a minimum. And you also have to think about how they're going to live here. So if you live here, there's very little storage space. Your kitchen would have to be tiny. I mean, there's no dining table here. I could have done a table at the side and then just had the wine rack on top. But yeah, so you have a seamstress. You know, she's got a modest income. She does repairs, probably. Maybe makes dresses to order. So what she's got is bed, a couple of books for a private recreation, and then her work area. And this had to be fitted carefully. And then, oh, the kitchen. I really liked how this came out. Again, there's some amazing builds using kitchens and this metalwork from Clockwork, because it all fits really well. I've said that in every video. So what went into this one, so you can build it? The long thin box, one metal plate for the shelf, one metal plate for the roof, and you have to have those because of this glass box. You wouldn't have a glass roof in the oven, that would just be too weird. There. So that's just shoved in. And then the metal for the sides, so you don't bore in the walls. Now this is just the elsewhere cooking station. Oh, and the rack. Oh, this was so sneaky. It's the clockwork box open. I still can't see it. Grief. There you go. That's how it looks. So it's got, you know, sides. It's got a cage shelf in the middle, and it's got this wire lid. Or rack. So just putting it in there just gave me an extra shelf. And then under that, one large solitude table, because there's a gap at the end. Oops. So that. I mean, it didn't quite fit in. You had this rough work surface, a hole, and then just two metal cases that overlap, because one wasn't quite big enough. But yes, I didn't have to have the extra rack. I mean, that looks okay, but then it's kind of a tall space. It's too tall, so you'd have to pull the height down. Pull that height down. Pull that down. Okay, so now on top you could do storage if you need to. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. Obviously you'd neaten everything up, but it's kind of the same height as this, and it looks a little bit, it's all not quite the same height, so it doesn't, it looks like it's supposed to be the same height and it didn't work. Could have even put a second dish in there, like a dessert pie. That would have been cool. Ooh, now I have a slot free. And that's it. So that's my little bonus room for you. To add anything to this. This is the candle. Oh, lighting. Any big light is going to flood this place. It looks terrible. Everything's flat. So you want to have one or two small tiny lights. I like the fact that it flickers, because it on the shadows on the wall, it gives it a little bit of texture. Same here. So it's image. I'm going to get her moving. And that's it. I will catch you all again in another video. If anyone does a 30 slot house, I would love to see it. Please link the video. Until next time. Okay.